Actually, Dana,
Oh.
okay, it has to be, okay, I guess we're recording now.
Okay. Because I said, let's get started.
Now you can call the meeting.
What's Tom looking at? He's got some special thing over there. No. So we'll call this meeting, Norwalk Historical Commission, to order at 7:04 p.m., March 24th. And Barry is on mute. Who else is? And Ileana's back on mute. So she's stopped there. Okay, let's see if Barry, okay, we've got a quorum. And next up is the acceptance of minutes from February 24th. And
Dana, I'll move them. I also have a comment.
okay.
Second.
Yeah,
Okay.
on page 2, I guess in the first paragraph under new business, the second line, it says in the renovations, they use the historic fabric, comma, the existing walls. I mean, I don't know if that should be on the existing walls. I don't know what that is. It doesn't make sense the way it is.
I haven't printed that out, so I can't check it now.
Does anybody else know?
Anyone else notice that?
I think it must be they used the historic fabric on the existing walls.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. Anybody else? Nope. And now, motion to accept the minutes.
We've already had a motion, just not a vote.
And a
Oh.
second.
Second.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, is Diane here yet?
Well, you want to vote?
Oh yeah, I'll vote. Sorry.
All
Okay.
in favor of amended minutes as amended.
Okay, that's everyone is okay with that. Great. And I don't see Diane, Patsy, or Susan yet. We have 14 participants.
Actually, Dana, sorry to keep doing this. You're going to do public participation. See if
Oh,
there's any-
sorry, I didn't write it down right. Yes, next up is public participation. Do we have anyone on deck for that?
We have we have 3 people, but I don't know if you'd like to participate, please raise your digitally. I don't see any hands raised, so.
Okay, our other guests are for later on. So we don't have any members of the public then? We do have feedback. Okay, I'll try to stop saying I'd ask for reports from the board, but I'm not sure where those folks are.
Maybe I can text them or something.
Oh yeah, Diane and Patsy. Oh, Susie or Patsy.
You know, they might have been confused by the instructions on the email that got sent out. If you look at where it's got a different passcode up top to what follows the webinar ID number down at the bottom.
Correct.
When I went to log in through Zoom, I used the webinar ID number, the 859 number, but then followed it up with that participant ID number, and it didn't work. I kept getting kicked out. And it wasn't until I went to the other number up top.
Oh, there's Diane. Hi, Diane. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me for talking. Excuse me for talking while you're interrupting.
All right.
So I think in the future, the login codes need to be more clearly defined and put on the agenda for the upcoming meeting.
Yeah, that's, thing is, I don't get that until, well, I got it today. And like Holly and I don't always get it, etc. And neither did Diane, and etc. So that's not something I can supply, but if I get everyone's phone number, I can check in that way. Hopefully, whether they got their link or not. Okay, so now that Diane is here, we can move on to number 4 with a report for Norwalk Historical Society.
Great. Oh, that was quick. 1 through 3 went really quickly, huh? All right. It's going to be a pretty short report. One of the things that we're very happy about is the elevator project in the museum. It's been completed. So we're going to get trained on it. I pressed the button. The doors don't open yet, so they're doing the final inspections. But it looks beautiful to have an elevator in that building. So it all went really well, and we're excited. So we'll probably be opening up the museum again in May. So it'll be open for visitors. So we're going to be moving on. Our virtual tours for the Little Red Schoolhouse third grade program is starting at the end of this month, March 29th through mid-June. So we're excited to be able to offer this to the school system. We had a couple of virtual events earlier in March, oystering in Norwalk. If you got to see that, we had record numbers of people on. We had over 100 people that were on for that. And Bill Whitback was very, very interesting and engaging. And apparently he knew a lot of people from Norwalk, even though he's been here 15 years. A lot of people knew who he was, so he was very popular. So we were really happy to promote his new book and to hear about some stories about Norwalk and the oystering back in the day. We have a couple of upcoming events. Some of you know that we're having tomorrow night. We will be talking about witches in New England. Yes, we're doing it in honor of Women's History Month, but most of the witches that were accused of were female witches. So we're having Dr. Littenauer talk about that tomorrow, and again, this seems to be another popular subject. Who knew that it should be kind of exciting. And if you can get on tomorrow night at 5:30 and listen to Dr. Littenauer. And next month we're going into celebrating Earth Day, and we are calling it Conservation Norwalk, a Present Day History. And we're actually having 5 panelists from the Norwalk Land Trust, Norwalk River Valley Trail, the Norwalk River Watershed Association, the Norwalk Tree Alliance, and Oak Hills Park Nature Advisory Committee come and talk to everybody about what they do. I think people kind of know that we have these organizations in Norwalk, but not really. So we're having one panel and talk about what they do, how they what they do in Norwalk, how they interface with, it's not just Norwalk, along with our surrounding counties and our state of Connecticut. And I also want to let you know that Mill Hill is now part of the Norwalk Pollinator Pathway Trail. So I got it on there so that when you go and look for sites that are conservative, that is looking at promoting pollination throughout the county. Well, Mill Hill is now part of that trail, and we have an official plaque and logo that we're going to be putting up at Mill Hill. And we installed, let's see, must be 4 or 5 years ago right now, a new garden. It's and that is part of the whole re-landscaping of Mill Hill. So we're very excited, and we want people to come and visit Mill Hill and take advantage of what we're doing. So for right now, that's the end of my report.
Terrific. And one question.
Yep.
All these Zoom, my brain stopped working. Like the oystering, we can find on a YouTube.
Yeah,
Other
yeah,
people?
if you go to our Facebook page, and I think we put that one on YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel. Again, that's one of the things that happened. We did have a YouTube channel before we went into a pandemic, so we do now. And so we have some of the stuff on YouTube, but definitely our Facebook page. We've been posting most of the stuff on Facebook. So if
Okay.
you're on there, go.
Terrific. Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome.
And next up, do we have anyone from Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum? Okay, I guess there's been a communication error, so we won't have a message from the museum tonight. Which means we will move on to reports. Buildings is usually something David does, and he is at, of course, anyone wants to volunteer for that position. He's at the Board of Estimate meeting. I think we've roped Mark into the cemeteries. He is at another meeting tonight, but I'll just give a little report on cemeteries. Cemeteries look pretty clean, except for sticks. I think someone cleaned up Brookside. It might have been one of the Scout Fathers. And I was asked to check out the signage. Our historic signage is having something a little odd happening at the bottom with water penetration, and they are guaranteed. So I need to get a good picture of that problem that's starting. And next is finance, which has also been taken care of by David. Unless he can swoop in later, but it's 7:16 now. So we'll move on to old business. Do we have any old business? Crickets. Okay, well, next up is new business. And we have Workforce Partners coming on to tell us about Elmcrest Terrace, number one Elmcrest Terrace.
Hey, Dana?
Yes?
I have to recuse myself from this part of the meeting because I have a relationship with Workforce. So probably just easier just to sign off.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Please have the minutes reflect that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so Workforce, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Great. My name is Kevney Moses. I was in front of some of you around a year ago when we presented plans to renovate and expand our property at 204 Flax Hill, home of the Ferris Mansion. And just going back before going forwards, wanted to again thank you guys for the support of that project. It was ultimately approved, and we're still figuring out exactly when we're going to break ground, but we're excited about that project. And again, appreciated y'all's support in that process. So tonight, I'm here to present our plans for a few new units at another one of our sites, 1 Elmcrest Terrace, which is home to the building that we know and love as the Victorian. And I'll show you guys a little bit about that here in a minute. But also to go back again before going forward, to remind you guys a little bit about us and who we are. We're an owner-operator of numerous workforce housing developments that are affordable to citizens earning 60 to 100% of the area median income. We buy, rejuvenate, modernize, and make energy efficient Class B and C housing, and then we offer it at affordable rates and create communities that are healthy, safe, and environmentally friendly. We also offer discounted rents to our everyday heroes, including our teachers, our firefighters, our police, EMTs, municipal employees, and many others. In short, we're able to offer these affordable rents by keeping our operating and development costs low. And with an average rent of about 45% of Norwalk's area median income, we're proud to deliver a much needed housing product to the Norwalk community. Now moving on to 1 Elmcrest itself, this project comes on the back of that same D-zone focused historic regulation as was 204 Flax Hill. Dana, would I be able to share my screen possibly?
That's in the Norwalk Zooms.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Just hit the share screen button there and select
Got it. Yep,
screen one.
perfect.
I'm not seeing it.
Give me one moment here. How's this?
That's
Great.
good.
That's good.
Awesome. So just to kind of ground everybody, this is the site here outlined in red. Again, 1 Elmcrest Terrace, also known as 50 Connecticut Avenue, just across from what was the Toys R Us and is now Bob's Furniture. This site has 3 current structures on it. The first structure here is the historic Victorian building, which I'll show you some images of here in a moment. We've got a small cottage or carriage house just to the west, and which is an older structure as well. And then 2 newer structures kind of in the southwest corner of the site here, which we call the barracks. It's a lot nicer than it sounds. Nonetheless, so here is a photo of the Victorian building in its existing state. You can see a lot of the beautiful historic elements still remain. A beautiful turret here, a lot of roof fenestrations and gables and dormers. Obviously the historic porch, much of the masonry, and we've also maintained and preserved many of the interior elements inside, whether that be trim or newel posts, or some of the decorative paneling along the walls or ceilings. This is a photo of the Victorian back in 1893. A very handsome building, beautifully detailed. Obviously has changed over the years to some extent, but we hope that this project will help bring about some of that greatness that it once had and still has today. This is just a quick schematic site plan. And this is something that, by the way, I failed to introduce Mark Hopper, who is our architect on this project, also served as our architect on the 204 project, and he is here to help answer any questions should there be any specific to the architecture. And we also have Todd Bryant, who has helped us out in advising the correct historic approach for this project. But back to the site plan, we're talking about reorganizing the circulation through the site, meagerly changing some parking layouts, but the core of the project is relative to the Victorian building, which I'll get into the scope that we're proposing there, but also the erection of a new structure on the back of the existing cottage or carriage house. That new structure will have 6 units within it. The first floor unit will be ADA accessible. And the new architecture, I think Mark did a fabulous job with a very unique adaptation in fitting the massing that we needed into the core of the site without detracting from vehicular circulation, pedestrian circulation. And I think he did a great job of bringing the new architecture in line with the existing and blending those 2 buildings together beautifully, which I'll show you here in just a minute. This is just an overall landscape planting plan. Just wanted to note that we've done a number of planting improvements and landscape improvements to the property since we took ownership, and primarily along the Connecticut Ave frontages. But with this new building, we've got an array of new landscaping that's going to help tie the whole site together. This is just some civil plans. Only had them here should there be any questions. We've got a survey, and lastly, to the architecture. So again, currently we've got that Victorian building out front with, unfortunately, many fire escapes, which clearly kind of obscure the facade and detract from the building itself. So we are proposing to take those fire escapes off the building. And in order to do that, we have to install a new sprinkler system within the building to bring it up to code. So that expense that we're taking on with that sprinkler system, which is fairly substantial, comes with a great opportunity to free the facades of these fire escapes that are right now currently quite a blemish. And here is an architectural rendering of what the Victorian would look like with those fire escapes off, and really be able to have a beautiful street frontage again and carry a nice presence with all the folks driving along Connecticut Ave during the day. These are just some of the building plans for the new structure. Again, here we've got the existing carriage house, this new addition on the rear. There is some covered parking on the back side of the building and some at-grade units and architecture connecting the existing structure with the new. Here is a rendering of that new building. Here on the left, you can see the existing carriage house. And Mark, again, I think did a great job in blending these two buildings together and taking some of the cues of the gables and dormers and arched roof lines of the existing building and bringing those into the new architecture. That is the bulk of the presentation. So I'm happy to field questions. And if you've got anything for Mark or Todd, please chime in.
I'm from Jan Marie speaking.
Just out of curiosity, and not that we're zoning, but how large is the site itself?
So the site, that is a good question. I can't remember the acreage right offhand. If you give me one moment. Let's see here. We've got just over an acre, sir.
Just over an acre.
Yes, sir. And as just a side note, and we're obviously here in order to garner your support for this project, and as part and parcel to that, I wanted to let you guys know that the neighbors that we have here at One Elmcrest, including the project that started this whole historic regulation at 3 Elmcrest, also 5 Woodbury and 3 Woodbury Avenue, are all in support of this project and have been willing and courteously willing to submit their letters of support to the city as part of our application.
And I just want to mention the fact that this is a great project. I think they've done a terrific job. I mean, that new construction follows the standard 10 of the Secretary of the Interior standards. And to finally get rid of that fire escape that's been disfiguring that building for God knows how long is a public service, in my opinion.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Holly, I have a question. How many units are in the building?
Which building, ma'am?
The Victorian.
There are currently 12 units in the Victorian. We are going to be decommissioning 1 unit as part of this project and building 6 new units in the new building that we showed you, which with the decommissioning of the 1 in the Victorian leads to a net gain of 5 units to the site.
Yeah, I think without those fire escape, I mean, it looks great. It looks like you're doing, that'd be a great job.
Thank you.
And really enhance that area, that little, corner. And are those barracks part of your property too?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
How many units are in the barracks?
There are 16 1-bedroom units in the barracks, sir.
Is anything planned for them as part of this work?
No, sir. That building is 60s or 70s vintage, so it is not historic in quality. However, I will tell you that in 2019 and 2020, I'd encourage all of you to drive by the site and take a peek whenever you have a look. We did a new landscape installation there that looks fabulous from Connecticut Avenue, and we also repainted that building, put some new awnings on, and also integrated our company color scheme into a few key door locations as well. So that building has had significant renovation to it over the past 2 years.
Okay,
I have a question about the exit. Is that exiting onto Woodbury on a property you also own?
Yes, ma'am. I actually can show you that. We do not own that property, but this orange section here is a right-of-way that's been in place for some time.
Okay.
And again, 3 Woodbury here, the owner of that is also in support of the project.
All right.
Well, I like it. I think you
Yeah,
did
me
a
too.
good job. Yeah.
Well, this, and you know, the very first building, and I'm still speaking as a paid consultant, but I happen to have some knowledge of the Norwalk Preservation Trust at the same time. The very first building that we saved was 5 Elmcrest. And we had always hoped that that would lead to some work on 1 and 3. And now you're seeing it. 3 is already done, and 1 is now in the pipeline. It took about, I don't know, 15 years for that to happen, but it's happening.
Well, I guess we just need to make a motion, right?
Yes. A motion to approve of this plan presented by Workforce Partners.
Second,
Second the motion.
Okay, and how do we vote on that?
Well, all those in
Yay.
favor say
Yay.
yay.
All,
Yeah.
Yay.
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Gotta scroll here.
6 of us?
5, 6. Is that 6? Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so that looks like it's unanimous with Tom recused and Mark absent. Okay, thank you, Workforce, for your presentation.
Thank you all so much, as always, for your time and your support of our efforts to help improve not only affordable housing in Norwalk, but the quality and quantity of historic properties in Norwalk. So thank you again.
Hey, you're welcome. Okay, so another new business piece we have is, ouch. Ileana has an idea for a Google Doc to help us with our job description here at the commission.
So let me explain where I'm coming from. Thank you, Dana. As a new commissioner coming into the group and not really knowing anything other than like as much as I've been trying to learn from the history of Norwalk, I was talking to Holly and Mark, which was not here, thinking of the idea of putting together some sort of onboarding guideline for any new commissioner that comes into the commission, having some sort of basic information of what the commission does, who are the members, things to keep in mind, what are the buildings, et cetera, and have it all in one organized place. We put together a Google Doc where we've been creating some sort of outline just to start identifying things that may be useful to have there in one place. I don't see the chat functionality here, so I don't know how to share that link with you, Dana. Would it be easier for you to email afterwards?
You know, if you
Yeah,
look at
let's
the
do that.
chat,
Can you share your screen?
I
Yeah,
can. So
because
I am going to, yes, I
Yeah.
am going to share my document and just briefly walk you through it. Let me just find, because I had it open, of course, and now I have to find it. Here we go. Just gonna go and share the screen. Bear with me for just 1 second. Okay, here we go. Is that
And
it?
Dana, it's
Yes.
Kevney again. I'm sorry, just a
Oh,
quick
sorry.
question.
Yes?
I wanted to make sure that 132 Flax Hill was still on the agenda.
I
for-
did
Oh.
overlook something there, yes.
Oh, yes, we did.
132 Flax Hill, and David is now here. Make a motion. What do we feel about adding that to the Norwalk Historic Resources Inventory? That's a contiguous, sorry, Ileana, we'll pause you for
That's
that
okay.
idea.
That's okay.
How do we feel about adding that to our inventory list?
do we have something to look at?
That's another big stick, sort of plain at the moment, and I don't have a picture of it.
If I do, if I can
Oh,
share my
Wait, is
screen.
that behind?
Oh, great.
Is that behind Todd? Is that the building behind Todd? Oh,
Yes,
Todd
it
is going
is.
to help us out.
Did that work?
Yes, I see the form.
All right, let me just. All right. So this is we're calling it the Edward F. Knapp House. That was the original, the first occupant and the guy for whom it was built. It is a Queen Anne. It's a relatively simple expression of the form. It has a garage next to it, which is much later. It was built in, let me go back up here, about 1898. Typical house of the era. It's in a row of wood frame houses of similar age and massing on the east side of Flax Hill Road. There are apartment complexes built in 1990 and 1987, as well as a former elementary school across Flax Hill Road to the west. It retains its original massing, but it's lost some integrity to the replacement of all windows, installation of vinyl siding, and replacement of the original porch columns with metal railing and unsympathetic materials. Concrete walkway leads to the sidewalk and the main entrance of the house. There's a driveway to the north of the house that leads to a two-car garage in the northeast corner of the lot. The original address of the house was 48 West Street, which was the 19th century name of Flax Hill Road. It was owned by Edward F. Knapp, who with his brother William H. Knapp owned the Knapp Box Company at 132 Water Street in Norwalk. They made hat cases and various kinds of boxes, as well as operating as lumber dealers. This is the house.
Okay.
It's pretty, except for the siding, it is as it was. And the siding, I'm sure there were details here that were lost, but it's still recognizable. It meets the criteria of being recognizable as a Queen Anne house. Being recognizable is what it was. The porch is unfortunate, but everything else is pretty much there. I love this little weird, corner, this almost towerlet over here on the corner. And
You know what that's for, Todd?
Pardon me?
You know what that's for?
No.
When they first started doing indoor bathrooms, they found it easier to put a bump out onto the house to install the plumbing.
Interesting.
Could be. It's got the original foundation. So it's, I think it's a pretty good candidate for the historic resource inventory. It's not, resource inventory is not meant to be the National Register or even the state register. It's meant to recognize it's meant to recognize historic buildings that are important to the town. And I think this is one of them.
Is it a single family house or is it apartment units?
Kevney, it's apartments, yes?
That's correct, Todd. It's currently apartments.
Okay.
So that's, like I say, I believe this is a solid candidate for the historic resource inventory. It's a part of Norwalk history. It was owned by guys who ran a local business that apparently did pretty well in an era where there were a lot of local businesses in Norwalk. And the houses like these are monuments to that era. And really should be recognized for that.
So, question for the workforce partners, guys. Your interest in this building is?
We own this this property, sir.
So there may be some rehabilitation down the road at some point?
That is the plan, yes, sir.
Okay. Good. I needed to know that in order to formulate a decision. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope to bring this those improvements in front of you guys in this year.
Okay.
Terrific. Okay. So at this point, I guess we go through, need to make a motion to vote on adding this 132 Flax Hill to the NHRI.
Moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, should we have discussion
Oh.
first?
Oh, yes,
Oh.
discussion. How do we feel about this?
Anybody got any cons?
No,
It's got good bones
Yeah, it's a beautiful house.
Okay.
and the view. Oh, we know the view is great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I guess we vote.
Okay, so aye for all in favor, raise your hands.
Hi.
1, 2, 3. Okay, that looks like unanimous. Or is that 6 or 7? I can't count that high.
6.
I can't see everyone at once. So, all right, so that's unanimous for those present for adding 132 Flax Hill to the Norwalk Historic Resources Inventory. And thank you, Workforce and Todd, for presenting.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much again. We'll look forward to seeing you again this year.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Hey, this is Joe. We have a hand raised. I think Lisa raised her hand. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I think she was voting, but
Yeah,
she.
that was a vote.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
I miss Lisa. Is she? Oh,
And to figure out how to end my share here.
unshare, I think. Right.
And if there's no more questions for me, I don't think I have anything else on the agenda. So good night.
okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, so now we're back to Ileana.
I'm back. Yes, I'm gonna share my screen. That gave me enough time to find the document. So perfect. So again, this is a very basic outline of some thoughts that we put together over the last couple of weeks. Have a definition of what this is for, basically just to give an intro to any new upcoming commissioner into what the commission does. What do we do? Who are the members? Have maybe some member bios, and Holly suggested maybe we use the letters that we submitted to the mayor to get nominated to the commission as the bios. How long are the terms? What are the responsibilities, and list all the properties. I know it's on the city's website, but it's just kind of nice to have it all together in one place, even if we're linking directly to the city website.
No, that's great.
And the meetings, like how often do you meet? What are the rules, the format, and then the guidelines. We started adding some useful links, like the stuff that is already on the website. We added the Lockwood Mansion, the Historical Society, all the other buildings that we have available for. And then we got into the regulation stuff, which again, as a new person, I will cede this to Holly and Dana, who have more experience. I know there's some stuff we need to work on for zoning regulation, but any other relevant documents that we need to consider as commissioners that we need to study or learn should be added to the list, so that we have one-stop shop to look at all the materials that we need acquainted for. And then I left a final bullet points in terms of like just things to consider that are more capricious, like what type of format do we want? Do we want a PDF? Do we want to make it like a Google site, which I can volunteer to build? Who's responsible for maintaining, and how often do we want to go back and make sure that all the stuff that we have there is accurate? And who's responsible for onboarding any new members, or do we make this like a rotation thing? Like the new member brings in the newer members and we keep inheriting it, or we get the most senior. So those are just thoughts, and all for your consideration, of course. And given that I am a new person, I'm sure that there's gaps in there, and I would love for you guys to just identify anything that we might have left out at this point.
That's really good, very ambitious. And I like the fact that you're taking initiative on this.
Thank you.
I am so thankful, Ilana, that you asked the question.
Thank you.
Where is the materials for me?
Yeah, no, it's great
It's
because
not only good for the new people, but for the present
Yeah.
people and the
Yeah.
future
Yeah.
people.
Right.
And there are different things on there, building assessments, that are on the website. But Dana, it was actually Todd. I asked Todd, what can we do to get this all together? And Ileana knows, she's so tech savvy, she can put whatever together.
Yeah.
But I asked Todd and he recommended that we call Steve Klepper because he's the planning and zoning. When you start going through, really, when they come to us and they say, we'd like to change the regulation, sometimes they would say, here it is as stated. This is the regulation or the code as stated, and this is we want to change. And I noticed that the time that we were asked to change a regulation, everybody's eyes were like this big, and like the new, and I have to apologize. We all should apologize to these new commissioners. Usually we can chat with you beforehand.
Right.
And you can ask those questions, but you're put on this platform of the Zoom, and you really can't ask those questions that you really need to know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so Steve Klepper said that he hired somebody that will be particularly covering the Historical Society. I asked if they can get all of the codes and regulations that we may be called upon to review or, change. And like, I get nervous. It's like, I don't want to change regulation. I mean, they may want one thing, but like, it was written for a purpose. Let's find out what it is. So he suggested he'd come next month to the April meeting and do a presentation. So I don't know if he followed up with you, Dana?
I'm drawing a blank on that.
Okay, because maybe you can send him an email and just say,
Right.
Schedule. Because he said
Yeah.
the new person has to get up, but there's tons of different kinds of regulations and perks. And I know it's like, you have to make concessions sometimes to save the, to preserve the buildings that we want preserved. And so if they have to add a couple of apartments or something like that. But we really, I'm also at a lack of knowing every regulation. So I think,
Right.
Anna, if, we can get maybe planning and zoning to pull
Yeah.
this out. Because I was just, you don't want to keep cutting and pasting, but anyhow.
No, this
it's
is great.
I'm glad you asked that.
No, this is great. Thank you, because I joined last year and then COVID hit. So, this is very helpful.
Awesome.
Right,
So,
so the team was never pulled together, we could
Yeah.
never pull it together, so.
So Dana, if you wouldn't mind sharing the Google link with everyone after the call, so you guys can take a peek and add comments,
great.
or just I'll keep this in mind. I was telling Holly that I in my professional life I have done several onboarding guides, so this is right up my alley. So I'm happy to work on the format and do all the heavy lifting. I just need you guys being the experts to help me figure out the content, and then I'll do all the extra work.
Eric, I think Eric is our senior member now, that as in terms of being on the commission. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is my last year of my third term.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Uh-oh. That means Holly is our
I don't know, how many
next.
terms did I do?
Well, you're the next most, has the less. I came on just after you because they couldn't take us both at once, apparently. Couldn't take us
Breaking
both
them
at once.
gently.
Yeah. And again, we never got, I don't know about you, Eric, but we didn't get any sort of directions.
Now I got focus.
What?
Bupkis.
Bupkis.
Yes.
Well, this is great, just, I hope he can join us next month, and then we can hear exactly what we should be putting together here.
Yeah, and we should
Looks
be
good
getting
so far.
this rumor of a staff member to help us out for
that'd be lovely.
whether or not, I mean, we have these I hardly went anywhere. I realized I can't go anywhere on Wednesdays because some disaster strikes like this time. 2 people, well, I guess 4 people did not get the link for the meeting. So I'd like to not have that little aggravation.
But I just noticed like what are our responsibilities? And originally, I think when we joined, we would just have the responsibility of overseeing all of the buildings that the city owns, the historic buildings. And
showing up.
Right.
yeah, but it's kind of grown now, because now we're giving input to all of these, developers and architects, and we expanded the demolition,
Are you on Ravelry, Ileana?
What was that?
Are you on Ravelry?
Ravelry. No, I'm like, my
Okay.
son is moving. I have a double. Yeah, sorry. My son is in a double double screen with me, and he's like
Oh.
finding something. So let me just, I didn't realize like I was still sharing. So thank you. Yeah,
we
he's
go
sitting
on
right here next to me
Instagram.
listening, and he's very curious about me being a commissioner. Of course, I showed up, and I'm like showing off being a commissioner. He's like sitting here like doing his homework, but I guess he was finding photos somewhere. There we go. I do love Ravelry. I will say
Yeah.
that. I do love Ravelry. I'm a huge knitter, so yes.
I had to throw a bug away. It was right on my screen. Anyhow, I guess we're done until next month, but maybe we can get, maybe.
Well, David's here. You want to?
Oh, where's David? He's quiet. Oh, at least he's
David's
quiet
right in
too.
the corner over here.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was
Wherever you are.
Stop talking about David.
I was defending the Historical Commission expense budget at the Board of Estimate public hearing. Fortunately, it was all parents complaining about the school budgets, so nobody brought up any questions on the commission budget, which is just to update you, our expense budget, which is pretty small. We submitted a flat budget, and it looks like it's going to go through unchanged, which is fine. It's adequate for our needs. And I think I updated you on the capital budget last time. The only other couple of things I have to report, really only one other thing, well, two things. We're recommending the low bidder to do the phase 2 work on the jail, the ADA work on the exterior landscape around the jail and the barn. That's hopefully going to go to the council next month and get approved, so we can get that done this year. And what was the other thing? Diane probably updated you on the elevator project at the museum.
Yeah.
But I just want to comment, Ileana, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's amazing. And I promise I'm going to sit down and write down everything I know. And you can add to it, because I think will be a really helpful resource, because it is, our duties have way expanded. One of the things we should add is, and I'll send you the links on the city website in the city charter. There's a couple of chapters that talks about the Historical Commission and its duties. And then the other one talks about the demolition delay process. And we did just focus on demolition delay and the buildings, but it has been expanding beyond that. And there's some initiatives we've been working on, like interpretive signage for all of our historic sites that most of you new commissioners haven't even seen. So I'll try to flesh some of that stuff out, and I'll try to also put together the long-term plans for each of the buildings of the work that needs to be done, so that you guys will know, and especially if I get hit by a bus and somebody else can pick it up and do it, which would be great. But it is good news I've been pushing for a while for the city to add a staff person to help the commission out, because, I did it for years, and it's just, now I'm doing other things, and it's not fair and not really sustainable. So it's got to be a staff person. The other half of that, though, is the building facilities management ultimately needs to take over the management of all of our buildings. It's fairly ludicrous that I, as a volunteer, oversee the building projects. I don't mind at all. I actually like doing it, but it's time to hand it off. It needs to be professionally done. And we just have to get there. And I was actually going to push for it this year, but it is an added expense. And given the whole COVID thing, I just, I didn't want to come in with an increase in the budget because I know they would never approve it anyway, especially for the Historical Commission when you're talking about cutting education. So anyway, that's kind of all I have to report. Are there any questions?
Nope.
Thank you, David.
Great, thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you. So when are we getting the tour of the jail?
Yeah, I was gonna.
You left already, huh? I want to get. a tour.
Whenever we can meet in person.
Let's do it. Oh, well, there's only so many of us. We'll stand 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
I got my shots.
Well, everybody
you
gets
are.
vaccinated, we'll do it.
That's great. Let's do it.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting a couple of weeks, and I'm 45 this year. I'm just waiting. I turned 45 in July, and I never ever felt so much like wanting to be a few months older than right now, because I
Yeah.
would have been able to get my shot. So now I have to wait for me and like millions of people up to 16. which
April
is gonna be-
5th.
It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like the Hunger Games, like all these millennials and teenagers fighting with me on their phones. Yeah, it's gonna be
We got
hard.
ours done. We got ours done earlier this month in Fairfield.
Oh, good.
And we couldn't get anything in Norwalk. We couldn't get anything in Darien, Stamford, Greenwich, Westport. Everything was locked up. Fairfield Health Department at the Senior Center had a ton of openings.
Ooh. I will keep that one in mind. So
And-
And I would
Fairfield-
check Shelton too. I was able to get somebody I look after their vaccination there.
I am
We just
bookmarking it.
got our first dose a couple weeks ago, so a couple
That
more
was
weeks.
the other thing about Fairfield is they were using the Johnson & Johnson one and done.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm happy with whatever I can get. I'm not gonna. be
Yep.
picky.
Yep.
My husband got it this weekend at Brian McMahon at the city-run clinic, and it was
All right.
fantastic.
Yeah, I went to that when it was quick. They were organized. You
Yeah.
were in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, they did
That's
a great job. Yeah, so now hoping that they'll do another one by April 5th, and then if I get it, I'll join you at the jail. I drove the other day and walked around that. It looks really nice. So
Mhm.
just want to help. I want to get the whole tour.
Yeah, anyhow, so it's gonna go down in the records that we all have, that I just want to let everybody know I got my both shots. And,
Yay.
February 1st.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Anyhow, I guess we gotta like make a motion to adjourn or something.
Yeah.
Yes,
Holly,
Move
you're
to
making that a
adjourn.
motion?
I'm making that a motion, yes.
I'll second.
All right.
All right, well,
Uh,
we'll chat over this month to see what we're getting if that guy Steve comes to talk to
All
us.
right.
All right?
All
Have
in
a great
favor?
evening. Thank
All
you.
right.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good
Guys,
night.
Sorry, my video off.
I thought you were in your PJs, that's why I had the camera off.
No, I didn't want to see any of the BET people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, well, I can't wait to see all of you in person. We'll party at the jail.
There you go.
All
Night.
right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.